Hello everyone, this is Kaifu here with another video for you guys. Today's video will be talking about FoWTCG World Championship analyze. So in this video I'll be analyzing the actual tournament itself from what my beliefs are, what will be the best deck, what would be the best colors, not only that, what also the format will be like, and also lots of stuff as well, which I'll be explaining in the video. And before we go into the video, I do apologize if your computers are making these weird fuzzy sound. It must be from my computer when it's recording. You keep hearing it, so bear with it for now. I don't know how I can fix it. I've been trying to fix this for almost 1 month, no more than 1 month, like two to 3 months now since it's been happening, and I can't fix it at the moment, so sorry about that. And not only that, my laptop is quite old as well, so bear with it as well. So let's get on with the video. So for format wise, we already know what format we'd be expecting: Lapis cluster format. So this will be a cluster format limited to 5 starter decks and 1 expansion set. So meaning you can only have these cards to play with. So now a lot of people say that why couldn't it be New Frontier, why couldn't it be Wanderer format? Now I like cluster format in Worlds, or at Worlds should I say, because it promotes 2 things. It promotes deck building. Now with limited resources, and obviously there's no like big tournaments before this, you don't really have an idea of which cards will be the best decks or what cards will be the best cards in this format. So that means you only have 2 weeks since it got released to play with the cards and make a deck out of it. So you have the deck build practice, ratio and so on. So you have to build it correctly to put yourself, and you deserve the title of World Championship this year. That's one of the things I believe. That's why they keep making cluster format. The second purpose, I'm pretty sure it's more linear to this one. The reason is it's a marketing strategy. Watch these pro players from in the World Championship using these powerful cards. Look how effective they are. So you guys should buy as well. That's my point of view, but again, I could be dead wrong. But that's what I expect. So mostly it's for deck building and marketing strategy. And also, before going on to it, as you can see, I laid out like what cards, or should I say how many cards in certain starter decks and how many cards in the expansion set. So as you see, in total you have 161 card pool in this format to play with. So pretty much that is not a lot of cards, but since you can mix color, which is fine, you can add up together. So you have a total of 161 cards, so which is more than enough to build like a certain deck to play with. Format information now. So these some of the information you'll be expecting, or should I say some information you should know. Jewelstone. Now Jewelstone will be legal in this format, just like in 2014. The reason is that because in the Lapis Cluster expansion set, for those who don't know, Jewelstone is actually being reprinted. So meaning the players are allowed to use Jewelstone. So meaning you'll be seeing a lot of jewel decks in general. And not only that, there's 10 rules in this set as well, and so 1 of each in the starter decks and 5 in the expansion set. So having 10 rules gives you a lot of players a bit more options. I'm pretty sure every single World Championship I've seen so far has always contained 10 rules to play with. Example, 2014 Grim Cluster, it was only Crimson Moon format, and you have like 10 rules to play with that one. Last year, 2015, you have 7 King set, which has 10 rules as well, but that was a one-sided format or one-sided tournament because it was only Blazer Knight dominating. So I can understand the reason why, because it's just one of the best color, or not best color, best deck out there, because they have way more ratio in pool than the other colors. That's why it dominated the other colors out of the way, from my point of view. So yeah, so that which leads to my second information. All colors now have equal options now. Compared to last year was really unfair for the other 4 colors, which is Void, Water, Wind, and Darkness. Now those 4 colors itself didn't get the extra boost they need, because last year there was a dual deck. Now dual deck was actually legal for that tournament, so meaning that red and white had the extra boost they need to put themselves a higher league compared to other colors. So that's the reason why last year you only see Blazer Knight, so which is kind of terrible in a way, allowing 2 colors have the best expansion set ever, or the best choice for this format from my point of view. And lastly, you'll be expecting maybe seeing more or less a slow format in this current format for the upcoming tournament. Reason being is because there's no such thing like turn 2 600 damage and so on, or turn 2 massive amount damage. Last year was just Blazing Knight, so meaning that you would have took a lot of damage and so on, so I can understand why it was an aggressive format, and pretty much whoever drew the Precious first and was going first as well wins the game, most likely. But other than that, it's really hard last year for people who was attending to that format. So there's no such thing like turn 2 massive amount damage and so on. Mostly turn 3, turn 4 you'll be seeing the big action, so I'm expecting it more or less a slow format depending what the opponent is playing, or depending what the competitors are playing in this format. Now, expected info in this format, or also known as common info you should know. So what this means is that what cards or what you should know or what to be expecting in this format. Well, we're expecting a lot of elves. The reason is because they have mana ramps. So elves have a lot of resources to play with, especially Sacred Elf and also Melfey. It allows you to ramp all the cards, resources you need to get your power plays going and so on. By getting those power plays, you put yourself in a strong advantage. That's from my point of view. Not only that, there will be a lot of draw power in this format as well. Tama, Summons Memoria, what's the other one? Whisperer. And there's more draw power in this format as well. So you'll be expecting a lot of players using a lot of blues, so they can get the key cards you need. So then go off from there. Because it's a slower format from my point of view, so there's no such thing I'm going to do a lot of damage by turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. By turn 4, that's what the action start to happen. So from turn 1 to turn 3 is starting to set up. So using those draw power to set up the key plays you need. Also expecting a lot of double, triple color decks despite Hook being illegal. The reason is that a mono-color deck cannot compete in this tournament. Think this way, mono-color deck versus a double color deck. Who will really have the best advantage? Most likely with the double color. Even if Hook exists, I will still risk the chance of getting hooked if I don't have a double color stone. Because the reason is because the more color combination in the deck, the more option you have in general competing. Because with monocolor, like for example, just say Wind for example, a mono Wind deck, you do not have a lot of option compared to a double color red or white or whatever combined together. You'll be most likely in a disadvantage because you do not have the extra oomph you need to put yourself in a strong position. That's from my point of view. Next, we do notice that Fire, Water, and Wind will mostly be the most played color at the moment from my point of view. Reasons being is because, think of this way, Fire has some burn spell, and they also have aggressive cards. So what does that mean? It means that they can use those effectively to force your opponent playing very defensively, and later on it can just beat for more damage later on in the game. That's how I feel. Not only that, most of the burn spell can target Resonate or J-Rule anyway, so it means that you can use it as a removal spell, so you can just deal 500 there, 400 there, and so on. You can slowly get rid of cards off the field if necessary, from my point of view. Next, we might be expecting a lot of Water. Reason is that Water has a lot of draw power. By having a lot more draw power, you're able to get the cards you need and go from there. So, for example, as I said before, it's not a fast format. So you can use those water cards or green cards or whatever cards has draw power, slowly draw into cards you need and go off from there. Wind is very obvious. It's a very strong color in most format anyway, because it has mana ramp. You have cancel spell. Well, technically you only have one cancel spell in this format at the moment, which is from the starter deck. But other than that, it's still a very good color because again you can play Turbo Hook and then hook on turn 3 or turn 2 whatever, and blow your opponent away because you hook them and then they lose 2 resources, and yeah, it's very devastating from my point of view. And lastly, a lot of players will most likely go second even when they win the die roll. Usually, regardless what happened, when you win the die roll, you always want to go first. Now, in this situation, that a lot of the rules have energized. Now, energized means that if you're going second, you get a little token on your ruler, and that token is able to produce a certain color depending on what your ruler says. So, for example, Feasting produces green, Warhong produces green, Mars produces red, and so on. This depending the whole situation. most likely people will go second because they get to draw a card, first of all. They have extra resources to play with, so that is very good already. So meaning that it allows the play itself to go first or second in their control. Now, if by going first, you put yourself maybe a slight advantage by not drawing that one card because you have the extra resource to play with, like Sacred Elves. I think green is the only color doesn't really matter going first or second, because if you draw Sacred Elves, you draw Sacred Elf. That's all I can say. So yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be going second in this format. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that as well. Next, card pool decision. Now, card pool decision is pretty much from my point of view, like what are the most expected play cards or most best card in this format in general. So let's go through it. Sacred Elf, Tama, and Melfi. Now, it's pretty obvious why these are here. Sacred Elf is a reprint of Elvish Priest, producing a 1 extra green resource. What can go wrong? If you go first or second as playing a green deck, if you draw Sacred Elf, you're still in the same advantage compared to your opponent. The only difference is that your opponent draws a card during the draw phase. That's technically it. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Tama is pretty much familiar Holy Wind. Comes to play, draw a card, extra advantage, has a mini kill spell ability, and so on, so you can't complain. Melfi, mana ramp again, so you can flash it in with quick cast and so on, producing a lot of colors, and knowing that if you have the correct resources, you can hook them or red boy them in general. Next, we have Summons from Memoria, Captain Hook, and Water Transformation. Now, Summon from Memoria is pretty much when you cast this. It's a chance speed, so you can't quick cast that from your opponent's turn. What it does is that check top 3, add it to hand, add 1 card to hand, and put the rest back to the bottom. So it's pretty much speed the deck up for consistency, allows you to get a lot more answers and so on. Now, for those who play Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what Power Duality does. Well, it does the same thing as Power Duality except for shuffling, but other than that, it's Power Duality. And if Power Duality did so well in a non-resource game, having a resource game with Power Duality, able to set up your play, able to get your key cards to combo off, get the progressive card you need, is very good. I say for myself, I believe Summons from Memoria will be the key card in this format from my point of view. I could be wrong on that day, but I do believe Summons from Memoria will be the card. Captain Hook. Not much to be said. It's Captain Hook. Captain Hook can either spin 2 special magic stone, which mostly all the players will be playing, unless they go very gutsy and go monocolor. Even then, Captain Hook can still spin 2 resonators. That's pretty devastating. So Captain Hook has no downside if you're versing mono or dual color, so it's a really good card. If you're able to get it out really early in the game, you're in a strong advantage. Water Transformation. Now, Water Transformation might be one of the most interesting kill spells in this format. The reason is that Water Transformation able to turn any resonators into a 4/4 bear and loses all abilities until their turn. So, and it's also a quick cast, which is an instant speed, and it has it has flashback or what it was called in Force of Will. I think Remake? Yeah, Remake from the graveyard, so you can use it from the graveyard as well. So by playing 2 copies of Water Transformation, you actually have 4 copies of it in the deck. But drawing at the same time could be the difference. You play more of it. So I believe this is one of the most interesting cards. Reason being is, for example, your opponent attack you with a Captain Hook for 10/10. You turn to use Water Transformation, turn into a 4/4 bear, and block with something with 5/5 or equal to it, and then kill it. So now they lose a big dude, and you have a transformation in the bin, which you can use again because it has the ability to use in the graveyard once more. Not a bad card, just to be honest. It's a really good card. Nothing wrong with it, and so on. Next we have Lightning Strike, Red Boy, and Chartan's Trick. Now Lightning Strike, if Thunder was good back in the Grim Cluster format, and Thunder was good in New Frontier back then in 2015, Lightning Strike will do the same thing. Just to be honest, it will do the same thing, burn 500 directly to opponent, or burn 500 on the field, and not a lot of cards exceed 500 defense, so if you use it on Sacred Elf, hello, you kill something, and there was mana ramping. That's from my point of view. So he's going to be a really good overplayed card as well. So next we have Red Boy. Now Red Boy in New Frontier and Wanderer format might not be a thing, but in a cluster format like this, and you have limited card resource and a lot of cards doesn't have a lot of defense, if you drop this correctly at the right time, you're able to nuke the field. Having a strong stat, I believe it's a 10-10 or 12-12. One of those two numbers, I could be wrong again. 12-12 having first strike, able to do a ton of damage on the battlefield, especially only to your opponent. Think of it this way: is Flame King Shout killing massive AoE damage directly to your opponent, but he's doing extra 100 instead, because Flame King only does 400, Red Boy does 500. And it's a 6 cost, and if you're able to ramp really quickly, you get a good card on the field, and it's a strong body as well. Yeah. Next we have Charlton's Trick. Now for those that card is from the red starter deck. Now what it does is one resource, play it, target a resonator or addition on the field you control, search your deck, add to your hand. If you control a certain ruler, which is Luna, you can put it on the field instead. So think of it this way: say you turbo out Captain Hook by turn 4, right? You turbo it out on the field, stun 2 special magic stones. Say you have 1 extra red resource open, play the tricks, get another Captain Hook on the field, stun 2 more special stone. You got 4 resource. You got rid of 4 special magic stone with 1 big play. That's amazing. But then again, it really depends. But from my point of view, I see this card has potential in this format, and it depends if people use it or not. Lastly, we have Zero's Magic Light. Now it's one of the most easy kill spell to use. Reason being because if your ruler is 0, which pretty much you will be if you're playing this card, it makes as a 1-drop removal spell instead of 2-drop. So whenever a blocking or attacking monster comes in, you can remove from the game instead. Pretty good, just saying, guys. Able to do that, able to get rid of big threats and so on. But again, Zero itself has to balance the right ratio. If you draw too many, you're not doing anything. So it's mostly a 1-for-1 situation, but it depends. Next, expected decks. So these are the most expected rules you'll be mostly seeing: Feasting, Wukong, Mars, Luna, and Zero. Feasting, self-explanatory. Massive field ramp with the tokens and so on. Able to overwhelm your opponent with massive field is pretty scary. Unless your opponent drops Red Boy, then you'll be a sad little elf. Next we have Wukong. Wukong might be one of the strongest ruler out there, because he is the only ruler can gain, no, not gain, but he can gain swiftness, flying, target attack, and what else was there? Was it first strike? I can't remember. I remember he gets flying, target attack, flying from the flying cloud, or what it's called, swiftness from the pig, I think the pig, target attack from the demon. Yeah, I think just those 3. I believe just those 3. So you can do a lot of damage with it, like in certain plays, and calling out early, ramping up early, swinging for massive amount of damage. It's kind of scary, and his judgment costs get reduced by reducted by really easily if you have certain resonators on the battlefield. Next we have Mars. Now Mars is an interesting ruler. Mars have more resource by going first or second. You have 2 manas, and those 2 mana can be only used for ancient magic cards. So there's quite a bit of ancient magic cards in this set, but however, there's not a lot of like red ones, like no more than maybe 2 or 3. So meaning you have to mix other colors in with ancient magic, such as blue. I think black has some ancient magic. No, that was Moonbeam. Moonbeam's ancient magic, but that's from the older set, so never mind about that. So ancient magic is very interesting, so you can use the extra resource to burn for damage. That's all I can say. Luna, now as I said before in my previous slide, Luna has the ability to use that certain spell to cheat a card on the battlefield. As I said before, that same example, you're able to get hooked on turn 3 or turn 4, then do a follow play with the tricks spell, put another hook on the field because you have the Luna name. You can do a lot of damage and potentially win the game from there, stunning 4 special stone. Not only that, Luna is a good finisher as well because it has the same effect as Little Red Riding Hood from the Grim Cluster set, or should I say Crimson Moon. Does 800 damage comes to play, has swiftness 12-8. Pretty strong. Lastly, we have Zero. Zero has a very strong ability because it's able to shut down your opponent's simple skill on certain rulers, or any ruler should I say. Not only that, it pumps your resonate as well on the ruler side. By paying 1 resource, you can overwhelm your opponent pretty easily. Deck style. Now, there will be a lot of deck style that most will be expecting a lot of mana ramp hook turbo decks. So pretty much your objective is pretty much get Captain Hook on the field ASAP. So it has the similar concept as Dark Pandora in 2015. Dark Pandora is pretty much you drop down Elvish Priest, Feasting, Turbo out, and Pandora their hand for like massive amount of advantage, and you have like cards in hand, they have barely any field because you've been speeding up the deck up. So yeah, that's the reason why I believe it might do well, because it has the same concept as Dark Pandora, like I said before. Now another style will be Massive Field Swarm. So this is mostly coming from Feasting, able to get lots of tokens and so on. Unless you're playing Red Boy, there's no way able to stop this unless you're using one of those massive removal spells, such as the 5-drop Darkness spell, destroy all resident on the battlefield, or the Water spell, which is 4 resource, return everything back to hand for resonators wise. So other than that, there's not a lot of way to stop Massive Field Swarm except for those 2 colors. And already Darkness, I don't think it can really compete in this current format, because it can only 1-for-1 a lot, but it doesn't have a lot of oomph, doesn't have a lot of power into it. But a lot of removal, which is good, but not, as I said before, not a lot of strength. So yeah, that's why I don't think you can overwhelm Massive Field Swarm. You can, at most, you can stop one of the attack, but with a whole field of massive Elvish tokens, you're gonna get beat up by 1-for-1s pretty easily. Just saying. Next, we also have Aggressive Burn combination. So pretty much you can go really aggressive and burn for game. Pretty standard. You will see major of the time in every single format to test out how it goes, because aggressive is one of the easiest deck to use out there. 1-for-1 removal. As I said before, like there's a 1-for-1 removal type of deck, like for example, Zero have those 1-for-1 removal spell and so on, and Darkness has a lot of removal spell. So you can use those to put yourself in a strong advantage by getting rid of big threats and going towards the late game and getting your control back. Speaking of control, lastly we have control types of deck. I don't expect to see a lot of control in this type of format. Reasons being is because there's not enough cancel spell. There's only 1 cancel spell in this whole entire set, and it's a 2-drop Whirlwind, and if you're able to get a second spell off, it counted the spell anyway. So yeah, it's really hard to say from my point of view anyway. So yeah, that's the deck style. So next slide. Conclusion. So this is where we come to the conclusion. It's gonna be a very diverse format, so pretty much you'll be expecting to see a lot of rules, not just one rules in general, and there will be a lot of common strategy as well, because obviously people will figure out what will be the best decks out there. So there will be a lot of common strategy, for example Captain Hooks, Aggressive Burns, Massive Field Swarm. We'll have a lot of common strategy and objective as well. Going to first or second could impact the players, so now a lot of players will hesitate to go first now these days, so or should I say in this format only anyway. So players might go second now these days in Worlds anyway, so to put yourself in a stronger lead. And lastly, expecting a lot of Hook Turbos or Turbo Hooks in this tournament. Reason is I believe it's one of the best deck out there. Think of this way, you Turbo Hook on turn 3, you and your opponent was only on 2 resources, you spin their only 2 resources away, you set them way back, like I said before. So that's all how I feel about it, because Turbo Hook isn't that hard to use. You have your Melfi, you have your Secret Elf, and you have Energize as well if you're going second. You have lots of ways to do it. Don't lie, you have lots of ways to do it. So yeah, that's the video guys. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time. Peace.